How good the wood fairies have been. So I went shopping last night and got my wood, which is under the tarpaulin outside. I got everything set up outside to cut the wood, went for some petit déjeuner and came back and it's raining. So I've had to move everything in here. Anyway, at least it shields from the wind. It's windy out there. First thing I need to do is put the base plate in, or cut a base plate for you. So that needs to be, I think we're working in Imperial today, 67 inch. I always check my ear defenders before I put them on, make sure spiders aren't living in them. This is 2.5 inch by 3 and it's really cheap. Well, relatively, it's about €10 a length, so it's about £9 a length. So also probably about $10 a length. It's rafter timber, as the French call it, chevron. Did find some plain 2x3 the other day and it's €16 a length for a 2.4. So basically 4 times the price of this, so it's far too expensive. They do sell, however, drywall studs, relatively cheap, but I'm not going to use drywall studs in here because basically it's an half-height wall and it needs to be self-supported, and it's very hard to create a drywall frame that's self-supported without any secondary structural support. So, and if you're wondering, I don't know whether I've said this before, but actually my career is designing drywall systems, so I do have a little bit of knowledge on drywall. Also going to run into a little problem with plasterboard later on. I might have to rethink it. For some reason, the baby boards, the smaller boards, the ones that go in the car, are just out of stock everywhere. Looked at the builder's merchant I went to yesterday for this, they've got none. Looked on the internet, everybody's got none. I can't get the bigger boards in the car, unfortunately, and for £30 of drywall, I'm probably going to have to pay £100 for delivery. Delivery around here is extortionate. So I might have to rethink that, although it won't be the first time that my wife and I have been and bought plasterboard and then actually wheeled it out the shop, cut it up in the car park and then put it in the cast. So I'm going to steal from this room 12 inch. That's 12 inch. And to fix that down, I'm going to use hammer fixings. I've seen it's really tight at this end. I'll just put a couple of screws in. So to fix these down, I'm going to use some 110mm hammer fixings. I'll just put a couple in for now, so it's not going anywhere. Okay, so I've just been having a clear out under here. This is a continuation of the wall, and because it's a step level, I just need to make sure that it's following the line. I could do with a laser level here, but I've not got one. I'll put a fixing in here and then just line it up to go in there. Eventually I'll cut some of this out to form the doorway between the two halves, but for now I'll put that one in there. Oh great, the electric's gone off. To do it by camera light then. I've had a few power cuts over the last couple of days. Oh, that means my drill won't work though, doesn't it? Don't. Typically as soon as I turn camera off, electric came back on again. Okay. Yeah, that's about okay. Now I don't want to put one in about here because that's where the door will be. So I'll put one in about there. So I've got that cut off there now. So what I'm going to do is cut a stud as a straight edge that reaches up to the underside of the beam up here, and then I can put my plumb line on, and then I've got to cut a top plate that's just going to sit on the same height as these ladder racks to support the top and run full length from that wall through to the pitch of the roof. 79. I'm going to cut that at 8. I'm going to cut that at 80 first, then I can just strike a line up there for the plumbness. me mark. Right, that's my head track in. Yeah, upper body strength's not developed any further. So if I now get my stud and mark on it by length. So what I really need to do now is decide where my door is going to be. In fact, I think at first I'm just going to put this stud level with this post because I don't want to be colliding with that post. Post is there. So if I just spike that in there, put a couple of short screws in just to save at the head. There we go. Right, that's the first stud in. I can just work out my centres from there. Thinking of putting the centres in at 450 because ideally I was going to buy the 900, 1800, sort of 6 foot by 3 foot plasterboards, but whether I'll actually be able to get some, I don't know. But I'll put my centres in at that. If I thought I was buying 4 foot wide plasterboards, I'd put them in at 600s, but I don't think I get 1200 widths in the car anyways. I'll put them in at 450 centres, keeps it a bit stronger anyway. 2015mm, I bought 4 metre lengths. Now I've cut that one now, so I think I'll just fix it, but I think for the other couple I'm going to fix, I think I'll just put a double bottom track on it, and then my cuts are under 2 metres, then I can get 2 studs out of the length. Just in case. Yeah, downside we're using nails is once you've driven a 4-inch nail in, you don't want to be pulling them all back out again, so I don't mind taking a few screws out. I'm just going to work this out. The next stud is going to fall just off the end of here, so I'm going to have to build a raker in down here. So I want a piece about 300 with an angle on 300, yeah, at 900, sorry, 830 for the answer's no. But that's going to go down there, and then I'll put my next stud in, next 900 stud in here, and then we'll be up to the outside. If you remember, the back of the barn's not level. When I put the window in at Christmas, I had to level it up at 2.5 inch at a level. So what I'll probably do here is put 2 studs in, one that's actually level and one that's not. Quite happy with what we've done so far, but it's definitely cup of tea time now. Oh, talking of which, here's my beautiful assistant. I was just going in to make one. So whilst you was having a recharge, I got this piece in here, I got this vertical in here. Again, you can kind of see how far the back of the barn is out of plumb. I got that one in and that one in. So in essence, I've now got all the pieces at 900 in 9, sort of 0, 9, 18, and then that one's slightly under. So I've got these intermediates to put in now, 1, 2, 3 here for the 450 centres, and then some cross bracing. And I think I've also worked out what I'm doing with the door. I'm going to go another 450 back, which then gives me about 1 metre to the wall, and then a vertical out that concrete block wall, which gives me about 900mm. I'm going to make a bespoke door anyway, so I'm not too a standard size. Found a couple of pieces here. I'm just going to cut these in there, because that then means I'm just cutting just slightly less than 2 metres, so I get 2 studs out of the length that I've got, and I've got no waste. Right, let's get these verticals in. Just before I put this one in, I'll need just to put another fixing in. by a saw. Look down the wall, you can just see that it's all in line. So yeah, there's no twist in that wall. This mitre saw. It was a B&Q special. B&Q being kind of a Home Depot equivalent in the UK, and it's done a lot of work. Right, it's got all the studs all spiked in. As I was saying earlier, put another one 450mm this way, and this will be the jarm stud. Gives me 960. This timber's 63mm wide, so by the time I fix one to that concrete block wall, I'll just have 900mm. I'm happy with that. This is where I practice my pole dance. Oh, that's got a nice fix, happy with that. So now I can cut that off and there's partitions sorted. Right, I'll do that later. So what I need to do now is put some mid-height bracing in here, where it's pretty much 2200. So if I put them at 1100, round about there. But it's easier with these huge nails just to actually when you drill in here, it's nice to, first time you don't want your drill to be square, actually cut it, drill them so you've kind of creating a dovetail with the nails, so then they've got more chance of not coming out. And if you're wondering why I'm using a lump hammer for these, then it's just easier just to drive in huge nails and you've got a bit more weight in your hammer. My S-wing is, it's 22 ounce my S-wing, so obviously this is £2, so plenty of weight behind it, especially when you can't really get a proper swing at it. Confines of the stud zone. Theory, it doesn't really matter for what this is, but in theory you should really nail things like this together rather than screw them together, because nails tend to bend rather than break, so it's a lot easier for something to fall off if it's screwed, because the screw shears and then it just drops off. This isn't a concern, but if you're putting a roof on or something like that,